Mic for you.
I'll pull a Huawei speaker special over here.
Oh, gosh,
We are so Edenville right now. It's
This
ridiculous.
sounds like AZ Sims'
This is
gym
it.
on a Monday.
Our new intro song.
This is good.
Not bad, eh?
Not bad.
We
A
gotta
little African vibe to it.
gotta hit up old Murgatroyd.
This is the.
That's a good intro.
That is a good intro. I mean, you can even fade it out.
Yeah. That's pretty badass. Eh? Who needs a mixer, dude?
Bro, that's African sound engineering, bro. That's like straight up like
That's how we get it done.
TRA, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan Murgatroyd. Funny enough, we have another Ryan. 2 Ryans in a... Not really a row.
Orion, a Richie and Orion.
Yeah, a Ryan, a Richie, and a Ryan. Yes,
Sure.
boy. Now it's on.
Get in there, son.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
I was thinking of how many ways I could introduce you to people, but it's quite funny because today on Facebook I was in trouble for calling you a Krav Maga instructor. Which
Who are you in trouble with?
a fan.
It's only in trouble if he doesn't.
Yeah, but he was
appreciate
like, I don't know if you can call him a Krav. I'm like, listen, dude, he's coming on the podcast. We can answer all of these questions. Then don't need to
Yo, let's just get straight into
start a
it,
whole
man.
pile of stuff. Yeah, so
That's a great way to start.
I
Because
said,
I'm actually not a Krav Maga instructor.
well, there you
Oh,
have
there we
it.
go. Well done, whoever did that comment.
I am a gym owner.
So yeah, just tell us about yourself, man. There's obviously a Krav Maga relationship, combat sports gym. There's a whole pile of stuff happening in your gym, Primal Gym in Rosebank.
Yeah.
So just give us a little rundown of what it is that you do.
So basically, I'm the founder of Primal Gym, which is based in Rosebank. And we are a combat movement strength gym. Pretty much anything you can put into combat, if it has integrity. I mean, combat integrity, if it's got aliveness, such as jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or boxing, I'm willing to have in my gym. So sports combat and self-defense, which is a better term than Krav Maga. Because Krav Maga would immediately relate me to something. Israeli martial arts maybe, which is, this is what we're here to talk about, I guess. But yeah, basically currently what we offer at Primal is I do a self-defense program. I just call it Primal Gym Self-Defense. It is a combination of all my martial arts experience that I can put into context for street-related violence, such as criminal-related violence that would involve weapons, such as robbery, muggings, kidnappings, or full-blown attack on your life, and the reasons why these things may happen. And it's more about contextualizing techniques for that platform, as
Okay.
opposed to for the ring. And then we do Thai boxing as well. I'm not the coach anymore for Thai boxing. I was at a period, but I have a great coach, Lyle. And our team is slowly getting there. We have I think we have one SA champ. Well, he was in the gym. He's no longer in the gym for various reasons, but that's in the amateur scene, on the amateur Muay Thai front. And it's growing, yeah. It's just, and then we have good strength and conditioning. But yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Awesome. So what was the relation with Krav Maga? Like, did you go to Israel and train, or was it like was you one of your original instructors, like a Krav Maga instructor? Like, why was there this direct relationship to Krav Maga that was
Yeah. It's a big story, so
okay?
I'll
We
start.
got lots of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, luckily we got something to drink.
But
and
I'll
comfy
cut it
chairs,
to the
bro.
short. My whole life I've been training in martial arts. Before high school, everything was first JKA karate, and then that wasn't good enough because Bruce Lee did Wing Chun and all this. And then I was looking for a kung fu school. I was lucky to find the Shaolin Martial Arts Center under Frank Sebrix, which was in Parkmore. And I would spend my whole primary school career basically studying kung fu, which I really enjoyed in those days because you got to live the fantasy with the weapons and all that stuff. I was a child. Then I went to boarding school, and boarding school was where, a lot of self-defense scenarios would happen, defending your pizza as you come into the boarding house and things like that. But I wouldn't get to train martial arts, but I'd be desperate to get back into it. And anything I could find in martial arts in boarding school, I would be looking in mostly at that time into K1. and Muay Thai was something I dreamt about doing. But when I would finish school, it was kind of like, well, what do you do in South Africa in these days? I think this was back in 2002, and I could find the school. It was called the Sao Long Academy, Two Dragon Academy, which was in Rosebank, and there were two authentic Chinese men there teaching wushu, sanda, and Chinese wrestling. And sanda is kind of the modern full contact form of kung fu that was developed to kind of compete with Thailand. And Muay Thai, it's highly kind of known for trapping kicks, because they saw the Thai guys like to kick, and they would trap kicks and do takedowns of kicks.
Kind of
So-
like that, like Kang Lee.
Kang Lee is a
Yeah.
sanda fighter. A lot of the Russian Dagestanis also train it and stuff. And that would be my introduction there. I would train there for a year, and then the next year these guys would have left and gone to China. I think,
Those bastards.
yeah, that's where actually Bradley Block got most of his experience. I think he was a Chinese wrestler under them. Anyway, so then I would go into Muay Thai. I would discover Henry Medini, and under Henry, I would get to compete. I would do some Sanda tournaments, and eventually Don Madge would retire me.
You're
Anyway, don't worry.
gonna have to explain the
You know-
story
you know,
because
I
you
don't- I
can't.
don't think you're the only guy. Don't worry.
So I went for a brief trip to Thailand for
Get
3.
Don's record up.
Yeah, I went for a brief trip to Thailand, 2006. I was so
This
into.
was a Thai fight, though. Eh?
No, I want
Yeah.
I want to see how many guys never fought again after fighting Don.
Plenty of guys. Inspirational kid.
Look at that powerful picture of Don Madge.
Oh.
That is beautiful.
Next on that guy
Clean
fights.
cut. Clean
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
We'll bring up his America. That's what I want to see him.
Let's get that. Let's get that thing printed out, though. I reckon for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he would even remember that fight, but I think I was like his second fight. I wasn't supposed to fight him because he was actually a good 14 kgs heavier than me, and I was supposed to fight a guy at 62 who was injured. And Quinton Chong said, well, we have this kid, he's 16, or he must have been about 16, and I was 22 or 23. And I said, sure, I'll
Go to
fight him.
Tapology. Go to Tapology. Yeah,
And-
carry on.
Yeah, anyway, he was the one who would squiff my nose with definitely a good knee to my face, but I never forget, in the clinch, I couldn't clinch him high. He was much taller than me, so I had every disadvantage against him. And I had a low monkey hook on his back and had him against it, and he was just raining elbows down on the top of my head. It was incredibly painful. And I think somewhere in the 30 TKO'd me. Anyway, that made me rethink my martial arts career. It was actually after that that I arrived at Brendan Katz and Neil Diesel's gym in Ilovo and decided, well, one thing that worked well for me in that fight was I was doing
Open
a body...
Jadison, open Tyson, open
No,
Scotland.
they all fought again.
Who did Tyson fight
I
after
don't
this?
think Tyson.
Robson Bow.
Oh, yeah? Scroll down.
Leon Maynard. That guy was a beast.
Costa, open Costa.
Yeah, he retired Costa for sure.
Open Hector.
Yeah, retired Hector Brits for sure.
Yeah, Leon used to be amazing to watch. Do you remember his fight with? I can't remember who it was. Yes, it was good. His fight
Frederick
with-
Naumann when he...
his-
Do you know he did a bare knuckle fight in the
Yeah,
States?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear one better?
Rock.
He never got paid for it.
He never, and they
Sorry.
were like talking him down,
Yeah.
like this other guy was going to be the best thing ever,
Yeah.
and
Talk to
Don
that
just
Like
no,
that.
not Leon smoked him so badly. I didn't realize how many fights that kid had been in.
Scroll down for Hector.
You know what the thing is with Leon is that he's been in so many fights. That bare knuckle thing, he knows. He knew, you could see
Street
he,
fights, bro. He knew.
He
That's it.
knew when to hit hard and when not to hit
Yeah.
hard. Like he wasn't going to knock the guy's head off. He just knew when to make contact.
I reckon he
Uh,
also had to fight a couple of wild
Donny
animals
Madge.
to survive
Donny
in his
Madge
young days.
retired him.
Oh, how's that for Rick? How's that for some opponents?
Void Jason. Oh, man.
Don't worry, me too, Hector Brits. I'd also retire.
Yeah, JC Lamprax is just shooting
Costa.
people.
I mean, he retired like the best lightweight that Africa had ever seen.
Just think about this.
All of
That
this is
fight was in
designed to make you feel better, bro.
2006.
Yeah.
That's 16 years ago.
What do you?
When I fought him was in 2006. 16 years ago.
Yeah, that's mental.
Yeah.
bro.
And he was a young boy, and it was the
Click on
scariest
Costa.
experience
yeah,
of
he
my
must have,
life.
he would have been, what's Don now, like 27?
29, I think.
No, not 29.
Go check his date of
It's
birth.
27, I'm sure. 26, 27.
Oh, shame.
Donny Madge. Don Madge.
You get the
retired.
feeling like this was like a, I don't want to be too harsh, but like a wasted talent by just retiring after losing
Who?
that
Chapeau?
one fight. Costa.
Oh.
Like, check at the Oaks he was blasting through. Like, at the time, those are some legit dudes.
Yeah,
I used to
he
go
was
to
a
school
savage,
with
bro.
Alex Shabop.
Alex was alright too.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He,
Not
he
bad
seemed
guy.
like a gatekeeper. Like, if you beat Alex, then you
Yeah.
were in the top
You're
five.
ready to go.
Just go back to Don's profile one last time.
This one.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, boy, get in there, son. Get in there, son. That was 16-year-old Don. That
Yeah,
That's the
you, go,
dude.
you look at that. Look how pretty, and you're like, no, it should be cool. He was sharp, eh?
yes,
That's the dude that's knocked you out. That's
he
brilliant.
slays in the ring, and then straight after the guy slays those women like hardcore, like, looking like that, bro. Yeah.
Powerful Don Madge. That is amazing.
Just go back to his topology thing quickly.
Be such a shame if someone circulated that photo.
Oh look, I mean, most likes would be stoked with that.
What are we looking
Yeah,
at?
I'm trying. Sorry, this mouse is hard.
Your mouse
Just
is hard.
Don's topology. You just have to go to Costa, go back one. Okay.
Apple, hit us up for sponsoring this in the laptop.
Can just scroll down slightly. Just go to his profile.
Sorry, I'm trying, yeah. I am trying.
I'm bringing the mouse.
Where
next
you want to
time.
go to?
His date of birth,
Yeah.
29. Kazi.
Oh, I do apologize sincerely. Anyways, what I was thinking about, you keep saying that you don't want to say Krav Maga because it has connotations for you and almost expectations.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's where we were going. Yes.
When you say self-defense, for example, is self-defense in the modern day realm of martial arts is almost, that's where the Mac Dojo fear is coming from always when people say
Yeah.
self-defense. So if you're
I'll have that fear with the Krav Maga. Exactly why that guy, because it's like I was saying to you earlier, people who do Krav Maga are not, and this is my experience because I've been doing it for 10 years, I'm not attracting particularly athletic beasts. I'm attracting terrified women. And sometimes people who live in the realm of fantasy and fiction, because they have this inflated, mysterious idea of Israel and Israelis and what this thing is. And it's hugely from that show. That's
Human
why I
Weapon.
went to Israel, that you spoke about in 2008.
Weapon.
Human Weapon and Fight Quest. They
Yeah.
both did it.
Fight Quest, I love that.
And all those shows...
That
yeah.
chick fucked those dudes.
Yeah,
up.
all
For
those
sure,
shows,
bring that show
you
back.
see it and you're like, geez, these guys are crazy, because that's how it is in Israel. But I'll bring it back to the point that you said. So in that show, let's talk about Fight Quest. The two guys come, Doug and I forget the other guy's name.
Jason.
Jason,
Smith.
yeah. One goes with the military with Ran Nakash, who was currently at that stage the IDF hand-to-hand trainer, to the general infantry, and then he goes to another with Avit Cohen, who is a black belt expert instructor in KMF, Krav Maga Federation. And I'll talk about the history of Krav Maga. It was created by a boxer and wrestler and gymnast by the name of Imi Lichtenfeld, who was born in Hungary, and during the British Mandate after World War II was literally fighting with Nazis in Europe, came to Israel, where they already had a form of hand-to-hand going, which was known as kapap at the time. And they were training their underground units, because as they arrived there, they went straight back into battle and basically have been ever since, with long story, but anyway. And he was noted eventually to create the system for the IDF, which is very freaking basic. Okay, we have to kind of think, this is where I'm gonna, the soldiers, as a soldier, you get a M16 rifle, you have a sidearm, you have tools like spades and all type of stuff. And as a general infantry soldier, say in Golani unit, yes, you will do a 2-week, if that, basic course on how to defend yourself with your rifle.
2
Which
weeks
ma-
doesn't seem a lot.
Yeah, with no bullets. So basically it's because, yeah, you right there and you run out of bullets and you're being attacked by all these people. No, it's not long at all. Every military has that. It's nothing special. It's basic for everything. It's based on bayonet fighting, and that's the general infantry. Okay. Now there are units in Israel that are far more specialized, that get this close to the enemy and literally will be drinking monsters and having cigarettes and as a friend, and they need far more in-depth hand-to-hand knowledge. And those guys are different, but those guys aren't teaching Krav Maga. They're not opening schools. They have a different job, and there are instructors who I work with, who I know very well personally, who are those guys. But the civilian school is where the business of Krav Maga is, and where most people know about Krav Maga. Because you have to think, at 17 years old, you're going into the IDF, a child. Your parents are sending you into the army, and they don't really know if you're going to come back, okay? Depending on what you want to do in the army. Because you can study in the army, you can get your degree and stuff. And so the kids get put into martial arts in Israel very young. What is Israel known for? Judo. That's the Olympic sport that they're known for and have most champions in. Because from very young, they have a culture in Israel. You go do martial arts, you need to be tough. At 17, you're going to go into the army. But now they have schools, so the kids start Krav Maga a lot earlier. And the difference is, civilian is very different to military. Civilian, you have no tools. Military, you have tools. Civilian, you just got to go home to your family. Military, you have to put the guy down, possibly arrest him, possibly kill him. Okay. Civilian, there are no rules. You may have to kill the guy, but you have, and so that's why it's considered lethal. But as you see there, the civilian school was far more tough than the military school, because the civilian schools are martial. They're very, very martial. And Krav Maga, as I said, it's this combination of boxing, now kickboxing, jiu-jitsu concept, Brazilian jiu-jitsu concepts. It's a mixed martial art. It's just contextualized for the environment, the streets, which means you have to have criminal behavior and criminal psychology come into the teaching. Why would someone attack you? If they have a knife, where is the knife? How does the knife come out? How does a knife stab? What are the angles and all this type of stuff? If it's a gun, why is the gun being pointed at you? The whole reason for the attack, especially if you think about self-defense. If you're looking at a gun, you're probably being robbed. If he's talking to you for 30 seconds, he's probably saying stuff, give me your keys, where's the guns and stuff like that. It doesn't mean you now catch the gun and beat him up. You have to analyze. If he wants his stuff, you're going to give him his stuff. But all the guys I know in Israel who are highly skilled are all black belts in either Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kyokushin Karate, have a Muay Thai career, and then they learn the context for the street, which is really, what is Krav Maga to me? It's boxing to keep long range if I can. Footwork, which is from boxing, not kickboxing, because I can change angles much better. I need to knock out, okay, hopefully, or I'm going to choke out, okay, depending on the situation. It needs to work in all ranges, so long range, mid-range, that's where your boxing counters happen, close range, just where your elbows and knees are going to land, clench range, then you need to know how to manage the clench and not be taken down. So if you can take down and land top position, pass side control and land in a knee right, that's one of the best positions to be, not actually to go on to like him on. In a street context that you need to get up and leave because his buddy's coming to kick you in the head. But I don't know anyone else other than, I'm not going to say me, but there's other guys I know who teach it as a mixed martial art. That's what it is. And and then you throw in the weapons, and we can get into that. Why people say I'm not Krav Maga, because they believe, having never been to Israel, that Krav Maga instructors are guys who are operational in the military. Every friend of mine in Israel has been operational in the military. It doesn't make them a Krav Maga expert. Real Krav Maga experts are martial artists who have good knowledge in wrestling, ground fighting, boxing, all the sports, martial arts, and then are able to say, look, you don't have a glove, so it's maybe better to watch pugilism and bare knuckle to see how to punch right without the stuff. But as you're saying, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has lots of context in self-defense. It does. It's in the context of clench range and on the ground. It's more contextualized if you just focus on getting up and escaping because you don't want to be kept down. But any pro jiu-jitsu guy is going to know how to do that. It's like the first base stuff that you're going to learn. It's more, when I say context, strategy is the thing. If you know a guy has a knife, you maybe not going to shoot on him to take him down. If he's going to stab you, you're probably going to step backwards and put the car between you and him. which is a smarter thing. And that's really where Krav Maga or contact combat or self-defense is a very generic word in Israel. It doesn't really mean, it's like me saying, oh, I train self-defense. You know, and people have put this magical thing around it because of these shows. And I'm not real because apparently the Krav Maga in Israel that I've learned is not the same as the one that's they've improved all the mistakes on that they do in Israel. And because I'm not ex-IDF, I'm not real, and because I don't carry a gun, and because of this, from my perspective, I loved martial arts. Was teaching women Muay Thai. They were asking me questions. I was going back to my streets experiences and saying no, no, no. And one day I decided I'm going to go to Israel to learn about this. It's been a fantastic experience. I'm still doing it. I just don't call what I do Krav Maga because I don't like being put in that category because people like that. And I don't have I don't even want to argue with people. But we have to consider this. There's one other guy in the country that I know who has traveled and has got a really legitimate signature. And he's a really good guy, and we compete together in Muay Thai. Our gyms come together, and it's similar to, he's got a Muay Thai gym and stuff. And he's the only other guy I know. Then I do know Israelis in the country who were in the IDF and are involved in security and stuff. It doesn't make them Krav Maga experts, but the guys who are here, they're not bad. They have their way, and I'm definitely not against them or think that they're not doing it. But it's a weird realm because it's in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You got an issue, go do it on the mat, solved. You know, Muay Thai, you got an issue, get in the ring, solved. Krav Maga, you argue on the internet forever. You say you're going to come around and this thing, and everybody's terrified of each other. You can't solve it. It's not like a thing, but it's because it's self-defense, and we can get into it later. But that's it in a nutshell. I'll have a sip of my drink now.
I just want to say, like, so in a summary, you're kind of saying that what Krav Maga really is a combination of martial arts along the way that's been defined for its situation. Either it's good for you to use in a street sense or in a military sense if need be. But so Krav Maga, like, you know, the connotation, like back in the day, I remember the period you were talking about earlier, like Krav Maga became this big thing, and it was the same like MMA. Remember when MMA was like, yes, when you're in a place, you're like, that dude's a cage fighter. You know what I'm saying? Remember those days? You know what I'm saying?
Warren's a cage fighter.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, Warren would walk into Bimbos on Grant Avenue at 2 o'clock in the morning. And,
like
dude.
Crinkly fries.
Yeah, and I should be like, that looks a cage fighter.
I know, he'd roll up there with Damien and his Ruka
Yeah,
kit.
him and old D. Meyer back in the hit.
Yeah.
But and then at the same time,
No,
just
that would be
after
a
that,
story.
like the Krav Maga movement would be like, yes, dude, I want to go learn Krav Maga. I want to fucking murder people on the street. I don't want to mess around. I wanna that's how it was, bro. So like, if that guy's got a gun, I'm gonna fucking chop his gun out of his hand, fold him into a pretzel, and knee him in the nuts, and be on my way because of the Krav Maga. You know what I mean? So I think obviously like all of these combat sports that arrived like in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
No one really understands what's going on, because when you ask me Krav Maga, I'm like, yeah, it's what the Mossad learn in Israel. That's what I think about it. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
You know what I'm saying? So like, so what you're saying is there was something quite important that you said, that just because you're Israeli military high up doesn't make you an instructor. And in turn, I think you were saying that those sort of guys are not instructing people that aren't in the military. Like they're still in the military. You know what I mean?
They're operational. They don't, I mean, you must consider what these guys have to go through, how stressful their job is. Believe me, when they're finished, they're not this type of person you should put in front of a class full of ladies. They've seen some shit.
Yeah,
and they've got
100%.
some demons
That's
to
an
deal with.
interesting
And it's inflated by the movies. It's inflated by, I mean, like, it's just Israel as a whole.
Bro,
It's just inflated.
Pull up Fightland, the one with Frank Grillo.
That one.
YouTubers.
It's Netflix as well. They will get flagged.
No. I think because the audio is gonna let's roll the dice, bro.
Roll the dice.
There'll be a
You know
good
what you
trailer.
can do?
You
You
know
know what
that
you
I
can
was-
do is just jam this TV off.
Yeah, I was
Or
reading. There was
disconnect
a
the air parrot
thing
there
now
quickly.
that YouTube's axing everybody at the moment. for
So
stuff.
listen, but all you have to do is just disconnect the air parrot. So to shut this TV off, the down, the Anycast. Just click that. Yeah, boy. Now we're talking. Now we go.
Fight Line's an interesting one with him going there, because he also like came back and would note in the interviews that Israel was incredibly interesting. But what it is how many people travel to Israel? How many people do you know go there regularly? Very few. I'm the only guy for the past 10 years who's consecutively gone there. I have 10 stamps for 10 years of travel. It's just 5 years ago I met the Russians, and the Russians changed my view.
Up. The one with the kid. See if it'll show that piece. Yeah, there.
But people don't know about it. All I'm saying is it's very rare. How many guys you know who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Everybody in the community.
Yeah.
It should show that. I think that's Rugrug that they show there.
Right, it is real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the guys with the face covered? That's typical Israeli.
So obviously in this show, the Israeli dude is fucking hard as 9-inch nails. And he's quite hectic, and he like obviously. So when you say Krav Maga, that's the connotation. That's what I picture in my head. You know what I mean? And I think that's
rightfully so, though, because that's what it is like. You go there, and it's incredibly tough training. It was tougher than Muay Thai in Thailand. Yeah, he's a serious guy.
But it's like what you're saying. He's active in the military. He's dealing with some shit on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Like he's probably needs a bit of time off before he speaks.
Exactly, and when you watch him there, you can see he's
Yeah.
a bit emotional about it. And the thing is, but he's also not wrong, because I've been there and I've seen myself. It's a difficult place. You see there, that's in the elite counter-terror schools. I can see by the way they've dressed and stuff, and their training is different. And how it is different.
Fight world, so it's what it's called.
It's highly aggressive training. They turn you into an animal. So when I went to Jerusalem in 2015 to do my training with Itagil and Kafir, there's a clip if you want a good clip. No.
Yeah, that Krav Maga 3, that looks like the one, dude.
Yeah, you see the one, yeah.
Which one?
But you're going to see this. If you watch this, like, there's some bullshit here. And this is what I'm talking about. Cool, I'm going to pull out a gun. This is where the bullshit in Krav Maga is for me. It's especially around gun stuff. And it's more about the behavior with the guy with the gun. Because I've been faced with guns on more than one occasion. And what is notable about that is there was always 3 guns in the mix, because there was 3 guys with guns. And you see that. Moving on a gun as it's pointed to you cannot do. You just can't. You are going to get shot every time. And you're supposed to move on the gun when it's not on you. So if the guy's turned and distracted for 1 second, like looking what's on the desk or something, that's when you take him down. But this is currently... It's kind of like when the choke is fully in on your rear naked choke. You are in the worst negative position ever. And if this guy really was there to assassinate you, you're dead. So what is this? This is why I can't. Because I've been there and I've done the gun disarming and I'm not comfortable. Why? Because as a South African, I've experienced it firsthand. And my advice to the people who are dealing with this gun stuff is, if the guy is talking to you, he's probably robbing you. Because if he wanted you dead because you owe him money or because you were sleeping with his wife, you're dead. Okay, that's...
So hang on. So Krav Maga, people can do Krav Maga if they're sleeping around. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, well, it's just this is the thing. The way he's taking the gun, in theory, it's very easy. Yeah, I get 2 hands on the gun and I get it. And it is possible, but it's the criminal. It's always the thing with these things. It's not the guy doing the technique. Is he? Who would stand like that with you with a gun out? Because I know you're a human. I know you can catch it. So it's always, actually, all criminals stand from distance. It's a gun. It was made for distance. It's very rare, unless they're going to pistol whip you with it. And actually, if they're going to pistol whip you with it, that's the opportunity to grab it. Because all you have to do is an overhook. And you've controlled the gun. And then you can take down and you can do something. Because as he pistol whips you, the thing's going to leave you. But you see, that's why I can't do Krav Maga, because I will never teach that technique.
Well, just to come back to that, I mean, my journey into martial arts kind of came from a situation like that, we got hijacked in his
There you go.
driveway,
Yeah.
and I was carrying bags that looked like laptop bags, and the oak that ran into the property just put the gun straight to my head like this,
Yeah.
and then like it was like a flight or fight moment, and like I hadn't been doing martial arts yet, but it upset me so much that I decided to fight, and he was like click, and it jammed on my head like right here. Boom.
Yeah. That means
That
that,
would-
God loves you, my friend.
China,
Jesus.
like, but just to,
Could have
just,
warned
just,
the brother about that. Just my
to-
heart, bro. I'm emotional. Jesus.
I was
just
there
to
at
come
like
back
10
to
years
it,
old.
if
freaked out,
their
dude.
intention is to kill you, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
nothing I could have done that would have stopped that.
Well, you could have.
Besides just giving them
Yeah,
a
you
shit.
could have for sure
can I
just
ask,
given him the
Can I
bag.
ask you a question? Just from that position with your jiu-jitsu experience, you know how to control that arm. And you
Yeah,
know
but
the
he's
leverage
got,
around
he's
it.
got he's got a weapon though. Like I'd rather.
But if you fought back and you had your experience with jiu-jitsu now, I know you would be able to take that gun off with just jiu-jitsu. It's just that it's more the training. This is what I'm talking about self-defense. It's more the training of teaching people how to act when their gun is in front of them and they're being spoken to. Because you're very lucky. Mine was not like that. The guy kept good distance from me, and then there was goals in the house, and there was 3 of them all over us, and there was 0 we could have done. Literally. And it was kind of like, I know that and that was the thing that sent me to Israel. That was the last straw for me, that I was like, I need to go and understand something to get over the post-traumatic stress. And I went to do my first instructor course. So I'll talk about the first instructor course in 2010. So I was with Fight Fit Militia before. And this is why I get so upset about these guys, because I come from a highly full contact background in martial arts. Like I'm a
Sorry, guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said for sure
I'll have
get
to
that.
give that a pause while Warren just assaults the mic.
Assaults out.
Yeah.
Assaults out. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
that's-
actually, so when I was with Fight Fit, I basically come back from the UK in 2008, and everyone's talking about Richard Kwan. So I was like, cool, I'm going to this guy's gym. It's clearly the place to be. I will get there. And yeah, it was everything I wanted. It had Muay Thai, and we were doing MMA, and it was never back down. Like eras I was talking, and it was an exciting time. And like literally 3 weeks into the training, I said to Richard, I love this.
What are you looking at?
Sorry, I'm trying to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I want to
dude.
do an apprenticeship. Please, can I apprentice for 1 year? And I just want to learn about the gym industry and how this works, and and I'll do whatever needs to be done. But I'm not interested in being a fighter. This is after I'd fought Don. I loved martial arts. I loved the training, but at that stage I didn't. And eventually, as we got to know each other better, we spoke about Krav Maga, and it was with Richard that I decided that I'm going to go to Israel to do this. In fact, I fucked up. I fucked up bad with Richard first, because he was saying I need to go to this organization, and I didn't listen because I'd seen on Human Weapon another organization, and I could see that I could go to London and do this course there. And I was like, I have a British passport, it's no problem. I'll go to London quickly, pop in. My sister lives there, so I can stay with her and I can go do this course. And I went and did that, and it was this complete bogus Krav Maga course. It was like the most. I had all my Fight Fit training going to this course. Like the guys next to me were, like honestly, I don't. They were not martial artists, and they had no idea. And it was a very commercial thing. And like a couple of hours in, I had realized, shit. Okay, Richard was right. I should have gone to Israel. The reason I didn't want to go, I was terrified. I was terrified to go to this strange land. I'm not Jewish by nature. I'm Ryan.
By biology.
Yeah, so it was completely foreign. But I got back to Fight Fit, and I knew I'd fucked up, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave and reconsider my career now, because I'd spent a lot of money in. And then I decided, fuck it, I've got to go to Israel. So then I bought my ticket. And I would arrive at Netanya to the Israeli Krav Maga Association, which is the original school in Krav Maga, because there's splits after Emi died in 1998, kind of like Helio died. So Emi died in 1998, and his black belts went and opened different federations, but I went to the IKMA. And my first day there, they would just beat me up. Like, that's how Israelis do it. That's what they do in the military. They place you under so much stress, like fight everyone in the room, just like that show, and then you're like, okay, cool, we start again, because you know nothing. All right. And it's intense, because and I would go there based on the thing. I had to complete 3 weeks training. To get in there, I had to prove that I was in the gym and teaching, so I could say I'm at Fight Fit, and they wanted proof of a black belt. in something, which I didn't have because I came from Muay Thai, which there were no belts. So I just said, well, I do Muay Thai, and they were fine with that. And they said to me, if I can come and prove these things that I can fight and I can retain the techniques, they'll give me a certificate signed off from the IKMA, valid for 1 year, that I can, so I could go back to South Africa with my certificate and open my Krav Maga school, which I did. And that was 10 years ago. And man, that's, to be an entrepreneur, you just do things, okay? So I'm being open and honest. That's what I did. How else was I going to learn Krav Maga? So I would love the people in the internet, because this has been an argument for years, to please tell me, how else was I supposed to learn Krav Maga? Because
Join the fucking army, bro.
yeah, so exactly.
We want 25 years of service.
That would come after that. I would get to go to the military after proving myself to Israel that I was going there 5 years, and then Itai Girl would eventually contact me after 5 years in the IKMA and say, come do the real IDF test, and I'll give you my signature on a certificate. So Itai Gil, if you do the human weapon, which is the other one, he's the guy where he just starts stabbing the MMA fighters and stuff, and he's very legit. He is Yamam, and Yamam is Israeli counter-terror police, and those are the guys you see in Fauda and those shows.
How would we spell Itai Gil?
Itai Gil, just Itai is Itay, AY, and Gil Gal. Say Itai Gil human weapon. Yeah, so I got, and the point is, so I got these certificates. I managed to pass all of them. Not everybody passed, but like, thank God for my training at FightFit. It made me incredibly tough. I could fight on the ground. I could fight on my feet. I just had to learn and I started to learn the system. And I fell in love with traveling to Israel, and I really started enjoying the training and stuff. So that's Itai's Academy in Jerusalem. In my video, you can see me being shoved into those rooms and stuff. So you can see they do a lot of gun drills and stuff. So your mom is Israeli's counter-terror police. It's the like highest unit when the shit hits the fan. Those are the guys. And not cheap, guys, to do these courses. I think that certificate cost me 40,000 rand.
Sure.
But the information is unbelievable. Okay, because you have to consider that this country has been in conflict since the dawn of the Bible and history, all we can hear. And the wars have been there for years. We're talking back to the Crusades and the Templars. And there's information, martial information, that's been left there, especially against weapons. So yeah, you get shoved into this small space. And look how much clench is being put in there. And it's full pressure. And you have to draw the weapon under full pressure, because this is the type of attacks that they deal with in this country.
So again, this sort of Krav Maga setting is what you're saying is...
This is the legitimate...
But this is set for military scenarios.
Yeah.
For hand-to-hand combat,
yeah.
Going behind enemy territory.
Yes.
So
that guy fucked up.
Yeah, he's donezo.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this
He's
is the
dead.
point.
He's
This
dead.
is the
Bro.
point. This is...
If you're technically dead in a drill, do they like beat you or something?
No,
you
you
get, like, a
just...
beating?
The point is they kill you again and again and again, and will scream at you, dead again and again, until you fucking become an animal.
Do they
and
like humiliate you? They're like,
yeah,
well,
but look at the
yes,
vest.
mate.
Look at that vest that they're wearing in those helmets. Those vests make you into a Michelin man. You can punch that dude as hard as you can. They wear motor helmet, and he doesn't stop. And that's the thing. It's more about putting you under so much stress that you just lose your fear, and you just act like an animal. Because you're a soldier, you actually are disposable. That's what soldiers are. You're going to die to defend the country behind you.
We got it right this time.
Yeah, you see, and this is now. I want to notice how much are they going backwards with the footwork. Always, because you can't go forward on that knife. You go forward, you're getting stabbed. If you can keep the range going backwards, draw your weapon and start shooting, then you can do it. Now here's my point. Yes, I don't know anything about Krav Maga, but I've passed both military Krav Maga and civilian Krav Maga. So I had to go through civilian first, and Itai Gil's the highest you can get in terms of military Krav Maga in Israel. No matter what anyone says.
Jeez, how's that little slip there, bro?
Just
Hey, a little roll under. It was like, is that Mike
that
Tyson?
that oak's doing way better since dropping
Hey?
that gun.
Is that a white Mike Tyson? What's going on here?
So you can see this is also pressure drills, drawing your weapon. Okay. Now, here in South Africa, I think I have one student who carries a gun. People aren't carrying a gun. So civilians aren't carrying a gun. The girls that I'm training, they're not at that level yet.
Unless you're in Durban, apparently everyone carries a gun
Yeah,
in
they
Durban.
do. They do. Then it it contextualizes.
Instagram. Go to the Instagram for Primal.
There was actually a jiu-jitsu guy locally. He took that. He got in so much trouble for the Instagram post he did afterwards. A guy tried to mug him. He's a brown belt. I think was it Nathan?
Nathan
The
Roth.
guy- yeah, no, Wood. And the guy tried to mug him.
I
And
don't think he's a
nah,
brown belt.
Nathan was. I thought he was a brown belt.
I doubt that heavily.
Okay. Anyway, the guy tried to like pull a knife on him, and he was like, "Cool, I'm not gonna fight this guy with the knife." And the guy but he tuned the guy. Okay, cool, just get the stuff out of my pocket. So the guy like leant down, and I think he kneed him and then choked him out or broke his
Shot the
arms.
guillotine.
Yeah. And then took a picture of the guy like unconscious. He's like, "This what happens."
Yeah,
if you
Rich
try and make me."
gangster.
He did exactly. That's it. It's called possuming. You see, that's all that psychology. Make the person feel comfortable, and at the right moment, when they're not paying attention to the gun or knife, that's when you hit them. If it's like that, if they're not on full attack, a knife is very scary. So if
Well,
you
like the scary thing of a knife,
Yeah.
it's a live weapon all
Yeah.
the time, right?
Yeah. That man there next to me, that is Alexander. Let me get this right. Zahil Zanek, okay? He is my current Israeli-Russian teacher. And you can see we're wearing logos that look very strange, ACT. This is why I'm not a Krav Maga instructor anymore. Because I moved to armed combat and tactics in 2015 and now have completed 5 years underneath them and full practic weapons instructor. ACT solved so many holes in my martial arts. I can't describe how the genius of that guy. I know he's a very interesting looking man.
Looks like he makes one hell of a trinchado.
Yeah.
Looks like Marcelo
If you
Garcia.
if you can type armed combat and tactics into thing, you'll see. I discovered him on the internet, and then he just happened to be Israeli. But he's just got videos of him just destroying guys with weapons, all types of weapons. But you see,
So-
this is what people don't know. So in Israel, there's a lot of guys who have systems that they're not wanting to call Krav Maga.
Hold on. Let me just cut this thing.
No, it's fine, bro. I'm pretty sure armed combat and tactics aren't gonna flag us on YouTube.
Okay, Alistair. That's
Alistair.
So this is Eli.
he just
Eli.
he just parented you.
So he's an
Yeah.
ACT instructor, also active.
that always lost an arm.
Yeah, they quased his face in half, bro. With a banger, my man.
Yeah, so this is what this is what I currently teach, and you see it's mixed between knife fighting, which is boxing with a knife, and
That blew his meniscus.
empty hand fighting, and you can see it's highly full contact, and it's difficult to teach this martial art because people are terrified of it because
So you're just getting dulled in the face with a knife.
Getting served up some flan mignon, bro.
That was a
Oh,
little
take that.
Rory style back.
Yeah.
Roy style hammer fist.
So tell me, you're teaching.
I teach a hybrid between Krav Maga and armed combat and tactics. But the truth is, everything I teach is ACT, whether it's with a knife or without a knife. They just... So they're Russian guys, and they are incredibly knowledgeable Russians on martial arts. They know everything about how to fight. If you go to that second video, yeah, that's maybe a good one.
You see that how to defend against Panga.
A machete.
Yeah, well,
That's relevant, bro. That's
it
relevant.
is. This is why the weapons.
Machete.
The weapons are.
Rob Trullia. Oh no, what's
Machete.
Machete.
But this is the thing. It's hard to sell knife combat, and this is a martial art. It's not really self-defense. It's how to fight with and without weapons.
Dulled.
Yeah.
Dude. Nothing. Imagine
How to
taking
fight with a panga. Don't
imagine
fight
taking
with a
a
panga.
panga across the knee, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck that. If I see someone with a panga, I'm the fuck out of there, boy. So this is what I want to ask you. There's while I was getting Rock to go to your page. This is similar to what we're seeing on there. This sort of two people almost having like a knife combat.
Mm.
Is that a self-defense system that you're teaching, or is it what's going on there? Because to me, I'm like, firstly, hey, I'm not carrying a panga. What are the chances of us two dudes getting into a panga fight? Like,
Yeah.
In
No,
the
well,
other-
it's a good point.
Maybe in the Congo.
yes, dude. While you're fighting over bushmeat, boy.
To be honest, I'm highly confused myself. The truth is, I just went to Israel and started enjoying myself there, and started going to more schools and just experiencing the lifestyle. And eventually,
Yeah.
I come against these crazy guys who I would do weapon fighting, and I would fall in love with fighting
Hang on
with
a
weapons.
second, bro. Is
It
that
looks
ook,
like a lot of fun.
that
I
oaks
won't lie.
that oaks telling oaks in all stars, bro? That oaks
Yeah.
wearing some Chucky Taylors, bro,
Sure.
and stabbing fools.
Yeah.
That's gangster.
So you see, that's Alex. Okay, so Alex definitely was in the IDF. Definitely did his Krav Maga, but he quit his banking job at some point and started writing a full contact weapon fighting system. That is relevant because you can't know how to defend against a weapon unless you learn how to use the weapon. I can't stress this enough. So you go to Krav Maga and the schools in South Africa, and you like place a knife in a girl's hand and say, okay, attack that guy. She's never in her life thought how to attack a person, let alone with a knife. In fact, that's so out of her consciousness, she doesn't know how. So you have to teach people how to hit and how to cut. And that was the big game changer in my training. It's fencing. And boxing.
Fencing with knives.
Cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, so
Now this is the point. You're right. Okay.
So, but right now he's cutting this guy's neck. So he's like
chopping him. Yeah, because he's Russian.
murder.
Even in Russia, if you don't know how to fight with a knife, you're not a man.
That's what I'm saying.
They're hectic.
That's pretty badass, though. Hey?
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you're right. ACT is the art of how to fight with and without a weapon. It's much like Muay Thai. Two guys or boxing stand in front of each other. And
Did you check that little fist bump thing they did it with knives?
Yeah.
Dank.
Let's
dueling.
go, boy.
But it teaches you a lot.
Martino, what you doing?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that looks Scarface now.
Yeah.
This
This
looks
is
getting
like-
murdered.
It's
And
called,
he
it's
doesn't
called the
even
mixed martial arts of weapons. So it's MMA with weapons. And people do it because it's fun.
Boxing
I
concepts
don't
and
know
now
how to
fighting.
find you.
Yeah, so you see, boxing against a knife works. If a guy's got a knife, you got to fucking knock him out. And you got to treat it, but you got to have defensive boxing, long range, because the knife works in mid range and close range. That's when you die. So you keep on the outside, and most principles will work the same. That's Noah. He's my other teacher. The
Okay,
thing
so
is,
I get what he's trying
nobody.
to- get what he's trying to say, like the similar sort of like parries,
Exactly,
head
footwork,
movements,
movements. It's all
exits.
from boxing.
machete,
This
bro.
is what I want to see.
Now we're talking, dog. Fuck yes.
So, yeah, let me pose a
Is,
question.
is a machete a traditional weapon that some army would carry? Or is
No,
it,
but it's
this is
very
they were
similar
like-
to a saber. So
Okay.
the military saber, Polish rode with the saber up into the 19th century. So weapons, they offer a very interesting insight into martial arts, especially swords and machetes, and swords into grappling, because you have
I feel like that's a Russian sport waiting to happen. Like 10 on 10
China.
sword fights that involve
Did
grappling.
you did you watch that? Did you go to the Arnold Classic last year?
Yeah, we were there together. weren't
No,
we?
no, no. But downstairs.
Yeah,
when they
the
had-
knights,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
Fucking
that's
full
crazy.
armor
I
sword
don't-
fights,
I don't know
bro.
how to show you this because
Imagine those dudes with less armor and a bit of takedowns.
The thing is, that's the thing. So ACT doesn't want to wear armor because armor is based in the 16th, 14th century. The point is as little protective gear as possible. Now those machetes, we have them too. They are made to be able to whack each other. You could probably knock each other out. They sting like shit, but they're not going to break your bones. And the point is to have integrity. You have to have fear of the weapon. Now, if you look at the drills here with the machete and you go watch Kali with the sticks and they tap, it doesn't have any integrity because that's not how that weapon works. It whoops, and at the end you get chopped in half. It's not a close range weapon. It works on the long range.
Oh,
Yeah, that Oaks parry definitely doesn't help.
don't show this to Lenasia, bro.
Valid.
Oaks are gonna
Dead.
be sticking Oaks sticking.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Is the problem with it? It looks gangster, and it is, but it has a lot of relevance in self-defense, especially if you are carrying a weapon or you're going to pick up a weapon like a bottle. But can I ask you guys this? If you had to fight a lion, and you could take one thing, what would you take?
A
A
knife.
gun.
A knife.
Knife always,
Yeah.
bro.
The point is, primarily, instinctively, that
Yes,
you have to
man.
fucking have a weapon. Now,
I reckon.
a criminal who is willing to stab
Say it
you,
again.
you're not going to solve empty hand. You're going to need a weapon, either a gun or a knife, and that's the point.
How is this not a mainstream sport,
My
bro?
favorite is check the ref.
How is this not a mainstream sport?
Because it's insane. This is Russian. stuff.
Listen, EFC, If you want some numbers, this is the shit we need to see.
You know,
What show did a medieval fighter on it? It was one of the pro MMA events had a medieval fight
I
midway
think I
through.
know what you're talking about.
this is like a TJ move. Check, he fakes with the like dip on
Oh
the head.
my
Check.
goodness!
Bang.
Bang. Maybe it is TJ, bro.
Rourke always has to bring it back to TJ.
I think I still like hammers him with the sword afterwards. What a dick, bro.
So the guys who love this stuff are the Polish and the Russians, because
And me,
their
dude.
cultures.
All in.
Oh, there it is. M1
Yeah,
Global. M1
Yeah.
Global did it.
Their cultures come from
Of course it
Alexander
was
the
him.
Great, and they're still into swords, and they're still into this, and that's why I'm saying they're such insane guys. Like,
Oh, shield to the throat, dude.
This doesn't look fun at all.
No, dude,
Nah.
this looks insanely epic, bro.
yeah, I don't think it's good
Oh.
for your head, eh?
No.
Like, you
Not
know
at
when you
all.
were stick fighting when you were younger and then someone whacked you on the hand, you're like, this is actually...
Yeah, this is not that. Bro, how crazy is this little M1 setup, though, hey? The Russians, these
I
guys
think
don't mess around.
Mark Hume won on this night.
Yeah, I think it was.
Mm.
I don't know if it was this night.
What
but
do
it
you
was
think
even
about that?
that ring?
What do you think about that bit of caging at the bottom of a boxing ring like that?
I think it's lacquer because that was the biggest problem in
So-
Pride, right?
so-
Yeah,
so-
it stops
yeah,
people
yeah,
falling
yeah.
through.
But it's also like that grappling scenario. But there's a bit of work. You can like definitely get your takedown there and keep him against the
That
fence at
can't
the
be
bottom.
good, bro. That's being smacked with a solid.
that one.
Oh my
Ah,
gosh!
that one had like a
Finished by shield, dude.
a sword dent in his helmet. You know how hard he got hit in that helmet to have a sword dent in it, bro.
Like, we don't even
CTE China done.
Listen, guys. That being said, should every MMA promotion have this halfway? Absolutely, dude.
There is a league in South Africa. I had the one goal come. This is a battle league.
I
They
think,
put the armor on and everything.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
after
sure those are the
Brett,
dudes at Arnold's.
Brett, I don't know if he did the
Brett
like,
Evans.
Yeah, he
Brett
did
Evans, I know very well. We've had many sword fights.
I was gonna say, I think he did.
Brett Evans did ACT. He started it through my reputation, and we got into it. He is an interesting guy because I've come in through the
Interesting is an
practical.
understatement.
He
China.
was my first kids coach. Him and
Yeah.
Gavin.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of them.
He likes sword fighting. He's obsessed with swords. So he came into ACT to study sword. I went in through the Krav Maga practical route to learn the knife and machete. But we met halfway, and I had to spar him a lot and didn't enjoy it.
Brett's a crazy dude, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Brett did jiu-jitsu for what, 10, 12 years?
Yeah.
Went to Brazil, got his black belt. Sweet, done with this thing, bro. Move along. It's like, you dedicated like a decade to
And he
this
was
thing.
good, bro. He was good.
You
Like, he was
dedicated like a
legit.
decade to this thing. You got your black belt, and that was it. Done. Moving along. I was like, what?
I remember going to
Crazy.
seminars in his garage.
Oh, yeah,
Grappler's Lab.
We used to
Yeah.
go to Grappler's Lab to roll. We had that Penny Thomas thing there, remember?
I went to a James Smart seminar. James Smart from Gracie.
Wait,
Yeah, Gracie
Town.
I
University.
have a photo here. Hold on.
Bro, please, when you
I
remember,
almost did my blue belt under grade. I was like, and I didn't do it.
go and when you've done there, please try and find the Fury Wilder walkout.
Will do.
Yeah, see, Wilder's suit was...
All of this armor made me think about his walkout gear. Have you seen the shit that he's spitting out, bro? I don't think this is Wilder. I think this is coming from his management, bro, because they want to try and save that trilogy fight. Did you, dude? What was going
Oh,
on?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was so
Yo.
stoked. That was my first gi.
How old
Your
are
first
you?
Nasky.
How old are you? 7.
15? 16.
He's fuzzy. He's fuzzy.
So that was
though.
like 2 years ago, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go to the
That was an
go to the
X-Guard
next
seminar.
picture below, boy.
Whatever happened to Nathan
Close
Ratz?
this.
Does he still teach?
He's,
Ayahuasca, bro. Got him.
he's,
Ayahuasca
Open
got
that
him.
one.
Which one?
You know which one.
This one.
Yeah, that one. What is going on there?
I don't know why. I was like, yo, look
Oh,
at that
that
one.
is
look at that,
awesome.
Lachi.
My blue belt looks so nice.
What you call it? Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, is a shaman. No,
No, he started
I'm not-
teaching
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu again. He started
Yeah, I know.
teaching jiu-jitsu again.
Bro, let me tell you something, right?
Him and
Lot-
Joe Fanico.
Lots of
Hey, someone was in my gym there. Just scroll down a bit.
Where?
Scroll down. Scroll down. A little bit more. That's my gym.
Where?
With
Which
the
one?
red fence there.
Oh no, that's World of Warriors.
No ways.
Yeah.
Click on it. Click on it. It's
Yeah,
World
this
of
is what
Warriors.
it looked like. There you go.
Oh my god, sorry. It looks exactly the same.
Um,
I thought it was Rodney King's photo.
that was the Admiral Barbosa tour. what was I about to say?
Nathan
Right,
Rath.
Nathan Rath.
You know, when Nathan was on form, like coaching, he's like one of the best coaches I've ever witnessed. I mean, like I've been around international coaches and that. He literally, like, when he's focused on jiu-jitsu, he's one of
Those
the best
walkouts,
coaches ever.
Walkout.
But I think he is definitely teaching jiu-jitsu again, and he is doing these shaman ceremonies. If I'm led to correction, yeah, I'm getting third, fourth hand
No,
information.
I know.
and he's like
involved
leading
there.
like these ayahuasca things
I've drunk ayahuasca many times.
many a time. Is it
Mm.
lacquer?
It's lekker.
I'd
Boy,
say
it's not a double brandy coke, boy.
It's certainly a warrior journey. It's certainly I think it saved my life, to be honest. But I've noticed other people, you got to really kind of respect that process. It gave me extreme purpose, ayahuasca. That's why I think I keep going back to Israel to learn self-defense. But I saw something like a lot of purpose in what I do. It didn't change me. It kind of motivated me more.
How long does the trip last for?
Rock. Take it off.
Yeah, that
In ayahuasca times, it feels like you can go away for 1,000 years.
Jesus.
You leave the planet.
and the reality of like actual.
And then when you come back, it's like 30 seconds may have gone past. You go like in and out. It's impossible in this tongue.
Let's
in
do
our
let's do a
human-
live ayahuasca trip
Let's
podcast.
not do
that.
Let's definitely
I've
not
been
do
choked
that.
out once, and then it felt like I was away for a.
Yeah, but
3 days
it's a
and
very
nice.
similar experience because basically that's it. You're on the point of dying. So your DMT comes out just before
Awesome.
you die, and ayahuasca it's a death experience. Your body thinks you're dying. It's hectic. And it is, so you feel
Where do I
almost
sign, eh?
rebirthed.
I feel nauseous now.
Yes, I'm like nervous.
Well,
like I'm starting to feel like we actually drank it and nobody told me.
That
Like that one time I gave him 15 milligram
Yes,
That time
bro,
you
yeah.
choked me out
That
on
might
the
as well
mat.
have been DMT, bro. Because I wasn't here, boy.
When you choked me out with that bow and arrow, it felt like I relived the entire day prior to that situation. Do you know how scary it is when you relive a whole day before
what's-
training?
my best is that meme with that old dude sitting on the carpet, that flying carpet. It's like when you hold on to the choke too long and take a trip through the cosmos. I love that.
that's like
meme,
the
dude.
You actually really don't need ayahuasca. You just need to be choked out and have some beautiful music playing in the background and just be left there.
This like's the worst, right? Like when you're rolling with him, right? He defends submissions hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
So
Yes, you do, bro.
so
Don't-
I mean, there's like literally photos of him defending these submissions super hard against Rich. But anyway, so I get him into
Arm
this bow
bars.
and arrow choke, right? And like deep. I even get my leg over his head
Yeah.
on the bow and arrow. But I hadn't seen that he had put his hands inside his lapels and they had got trapped in the lapel, right? And obviously I was pulling so hard on the lapel, his hands were trapped. His leg was trapped because I was grabbing the pants.
And I couldn't talk because
And I was like,
shut my
This little fucker is not tapping, right? So I'm like trying to like get more leverage, more leverage.
Just explain that I was like 15 or 16 at the time.
It was like shortly after that photo you saw, right?
Character building, boy.
So, but you know, like if you get choked out sometimes, you don't go like limp.
Yeah.
Like there's
You,
like,
like, stay
you're
in
like
it,
rigid,
yeah.
right? And so he had like passed out, and I was holding it for like 10 seconds probably after he had passed out. Right? I'm like, okay, something's definitely up here because he started farting. Right? I was like, this motherfucker's trying to get out of the submission by farting on me, right?
So you went extra hard, bro.
So I was like, that is disgusting, bro. Like, so I let go, and I realized this oak, he like falls to the mat like this, and he's still in the position, but like hard, and he starts like almost snoring, like literally snoring. I was like, oh shit. So I like put him on his side, like, you know, like, 'cause that's what you see everyone do.
Recovery, yeah.
That's what you see everyone do, so I just thought I'd do it. Bro, he comes out, he looks at me, he gets his biggest fright, he like a cat across the mat, bro. He like scampers across the wall, and he sits his back. So his eyes are like this big. He's looking at me. I'm trying to talk to him. He's not talking back, bro. I was like, oh, brain. He's got brain damage.
He's brain.
But and then all of a sudden, his body couldn't control his I don't know, like the way he was sweating and that, and he just started like sweating
like a
profusely in
cold
the middle
sweat,
of
yeah.
in the middle of winter, bro. Like his gi was sopping wet, bro. He was scared, but I was fucking dead. I thought.
I remember like shaking. I went to the bathroom.
So
and
I think
couldn't,
he had
like, control
basically
the
shat
tap.
himself. Is
Well,
what had
yeah.
happened.
Well, I was scared that I had to go to my wife and be like, "My angel, I like permanently disabled your brother."
He might not make it.
Doesn't feel cool when you hurt people and you don't want to. It's like really sucks in martial arts.
Oh, 100%.
No,
Yeah.
now
That's
people
why.
tell
That's
me
why I
about-
couldn't.
Unless you're a
con-
sadistic fucking
yeah,
like,
that's why I couldn't do
unless
that
you-
competition thing.
Unless you roll 14-year-olds and break
No,
your ankles.
listen.
I'm sure like you ask a couple of guys, I'm sure like, I mean we keep coming back to Don, but I'm sure Don loves smashing oaks. Like I'm sure that head kick against Tay was
Yeah, you have to be special.
Yeah, but he
You
lives
have
for
to-
that, bro.
yeah, 100%.
And that's what makes him a great fighter.
But
bro.
that's the thing. I remember being
I love watching that shit.
in the ring and not having that killer instinct. Like kind of like, oh, it's fun, let's spar, you know. And then next thing, you get hits and you got it, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm actually in a fight and I'm gonna get fucking knocked out. And I like some guys can turn that thing on. They can just be there, like
yeah.
killer instinct, boom, and I'm too chilled for that. Like, only if I feel like shit, like, you know, reality, I'm gonna die. Maybe I can turn it on. But found it difficult in competition. I think I would be much better at jiu-jitsu because I'm not worried about my head being
kicked off.
kicked off. And I always was tempted to do it, but
How many Muay Thai fights did you do?
I only did one Muay Thai fight, Pro-Am against Don, and then I did 3 Sunda fights, which is like was very traditional. You fight on that raised lei-tai platform. The rules are it's like 3 2-minute rounds. If you knock or throw the guy off the platform, it's like you do it 3 times, you win the fight. But then you can win by knockout. You can do any type of judo throw that you want, but it's stood up on the ground. Full kick, low kick, high kick, just no elbows, no knees. Which is actually, I really enjoyed that platform because Muay Thai is it was heavy. My experience in Thailand, like when I went there, you know, like getting to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, fantasy living archer, and the reality of it was not so glamorous. Like, you know, you'd like clenching with these 13-year-old boys who are living in this. It's the roughness of Bangkok. Like, oh, okay, this is some raw ass shit, and these are actually very poor people.
Yeah.
You know, not really doing this out of like Jean-Claude Van Damme passion. They're doing it
To survive.
But
and
certainly not as glamorous as like a lot of these shows make it out to
they sell it to us, and that's why like I've been really battled to do Muay Thai after I came back from Thailand. It was kind of
Sorry,
like self-defense made a lot of sense to me, or Krav Maga or whatever, because
My
I
cat is
got
causing
to do
chaos.
you get to do martial arts, but you don't have the competition. But what I would discover is people who want to do Krav Maga are not full contact. All the full contact guys are doing MMA, are doing boxing, are doing Muay Thai, or doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's the truth. People that I do train, I've got a lot of very high profile people privately, wealthy people who have serious security concerns based on who they are, and I have to take a very logical approach with them about how to keep safe. And a lot of the training from Israel comes into relevant, but I don't get, and you've seen ACT, I have some nutcases who do that with me, but the commonality between those nutcases all have black belts or have been doing martial arts for more than 10 years. And they found fun in weapons. And I think Alex, my teacher, said you get 3 types of martial artists. You get grapplers, jiu-jitsu guys, judo guys, and wrestlers. You get strikers, boxers, kickboxers, and Thai boxing guys. And then you get weapon guys, which are, you know, and you have to consider that like Kendo has millions and millions of people around the world who actually do it. They are the Star Wars geek of martial art. But weapon, fencing, they do exist, although you don't think about them.
The
in this-
shittying.
Yeah. Then ACT kind of sits between it. ACT is to study all cultures of martial arts, whether it's jiu-jitsu and everything, and you just throw a weapon in and it's full contact. But my point is,
Let it play, bro. It's long.
I think that's the issue with Krav Maga. It hasn't got a liveness in the training like other like sports.
And that's super important, especially when it comes to a self-defense kind of scenario.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go live. And I think that's an interesting point. Like like I said to you, like I always thought, okay, cool, I want to do Krav Maga because I'm able to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, I feel very comfortable in hard jiu-jitsu training.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
the way we train is not like it's a fight to the death, but it's hard. Like
Isn't
I'm
it?
confident.
Oh, damn.
I'm confident in like the pace. I can
That
keep.
explains it all. That explains it all there. Rook's like, why does everyone go hard with me? Maybe because you're going to start. Like,
Yeah. And
this is a fist bump. It's not. You're not trying to fucking punch me,
You
bro.
know what the best is with the Rook? Like you'll get into like a good armbar position, but you know that he's going to do everything he can to escape.
Yeah.
He's going to turn. He's going to let his shoulder go 360 degrees. He doesn't care as long as he's going to escape. So your natural instinct is to go as tight as you possibly can and like really sink into that.
Yeah.
Bro. So it's either he escapes or his shoulder's coming out. Like that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen right now. That's
It's
your
I
connection.
think it's that
Sorry,
Matt
dude, he's causing
Matt
chaos.
Thornton who terms that aliveness in training. He's the guy who started
SPG.
SPG, and you see now that's the point. I have an extremely small self-defense school. When you look at other Krav Maga schools, they got hundreds of people. Like it's unbelievable to me when I see how many students they do. But then often when I watch the way they train, there is script and very little aliveness in training.
Yeah.
In Primal, we have tons of aliveness. However, because of it, we have a lot less students because
Yeah, it weeds out. a
it
certain
weeds
type of
out
people.
the people who are not willing to.
But that's any form of martial arts.
Yeah,
And
it sucks for business,
Yeah.
but it's I won't sacrifice integrity for. That's why I have a gym where you can put commercial products in like fitness and strength and conditioning. But it's a difficult line. That it's like so you know. What the fuck is this guy wearing? Sorry, he looks
like
like
a
looks like Lord of the Rings. Like
Like
This
a
is-
diamond encrusted armor suit.
it
this
reminds me
is-
of the fucking
Saruman.
Siron or whatever.
Saruman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen.
Bro, this is so fucking weird to me because I wanted to rewatch this walkout.
Who's
the-
wearing it? Fury or
Yeah, this is
Wilder.
Deontay
Wilder,
Wilder.
yeah.
So this is the talk of the town today. Obviously, I mean, he does this in every fight. He walks out in something crazy.
Yeah.
So it started with his team, and now he came out and said that his legs were tired because this thing weighed 20 kilos. And I'm like, I got a couple of problems with that.
That guy's a beast.
You know what I'm saying? Like you've done it for every fight before. That thing for sure doesn't weigh 20 kilos because it's only going over. It's like fucking shoulder pads. You know what I mean? And nobody told you to put that thing on, son.
How much money is won on this type of boxing fight?
Scary,
I think the split was like 6 and 4, something like that. $6
Shit.
million to Wilder, 4 million.
No.
to-
Fury's fight purse was 9 million. He
9
donated
million?
all of it, yeah. And then it's all like pay-per-view clicks and stuff.
What is it?
And this is done big numbers.
First top MMA guys who bring massive numbers.
Dude, I think the biggest earning we've ever seen was Khabib now in Abu Dhabi. That was 7 million. But that being said, a whole pile of that was fronted up by some unknown source in Abu Dhabi.
Is there any money in jiu-jitsu competitions?
There's a little bit. I mean, like
But-
Gordon Ryan signed like
Yeah. Endorsement deals.
no.
That's-
Well, Gordon signed that 5-fight $100,000 deal. But I mean, like that's like not really a lot of money in pro sports, you know.
It's also great. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition is definitely growing. Like
But-
before, you had like your IBJJF, right, and then
Yeah.
maybe like Abu Dhabi or whatever. Right? But now the like no-gi submission only is taking off, and that's becoming the one people want to
I
watch.
like Eddie Brother's concept with
He's-
slaps.
Please try.
Oh,
yeah.
Combat
Please try and
jiu-jitsu.
find the Fury version, the Fury's walkout.
You know.
But that's relevant though.
Yeah,
The slaps are relevant, I reckon.
But you know what the biggest
It's really,
problem is,
really-
right?
yeah.
In most organized sports, so we're talking like Major League Baseball, NBA, you name it, NFL. Basically, there's regulation surrounding like the ratio of revenue for the league and the amount of that revenue, amount of money, or the percentage of that revenue that is then distributed to the athletes as pay.
Yeah.
Right? So in the NBA, MLB, NFL, it all sits between 49%, 51% or 50-50, where 50% of the revenue gets directly paid to the athletes. The problem with MMA, you got an organization like the UFC which is doing phenomenal things in developing the sport, but only 19% of their revenue goes to the fighters,
Yeah.
right? So I think MMA itself, like the actual MMA industry, I think it's bigger than boxing now,
Yeah.
right? But the MMA fighters aren't seeing anywhere near the type of money that these guys are seeing. There's like 1 or 2 guys on a roster of 350 people that are seeing this type of money. Whereas you can get 20 boxers that are making multi-million-dollar paydays on their...
Let me ask you this. Is boxing on the biggest stage like this is, for whatever reason, I mean, there's some obvious factors, there's some not so obvious factors, that for whatever reason, when boxing is good and you've got 2 insanely good heavyweights with a story, will, for whatever reason, will always be the top selling combat sport in the world, because everybody wants to see who's going to win here. For whatever reason, I think it's like the amount of time boxing's been on. I mean, look at this theater, dude. Look, not to say that MMA doesn't have the same theater, but they're all in here.
We
Okay,
should definitely up our...
we
like,
for
up
sure
our
don't
stuff.
need 15-minute walkouts, bro. You know what I
Yeah, we
mean?
do.
But remember, like, you know what's happening right now? KSW are going, okay, boxing, hold my Polish fucking beer, we're coming. You know what I mean?
KSW, 1FC does it every now and again. You get to like some
Yeah.
of those Asian promotions that are like these one-off promotions. They do these epic walkouts. The thing is that the difference here is that this whole card is built on just these 2 people.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Look
So
at this,
it
dude.
doesn't matter what happened.
Powerful
Yeah.
Tyson Fury.
Doesn't
bro.
matter what happened in the undercard. It doesn't matter what happened in the first 5 fights on the main card. All that matters is this fight, right?
And this
Whereas
walkout.
MMA is different. Like MMA,
There's
there
so many.
is
There seems to be
significance.
so many more people in it. To be honest, like boxing, to be famous in is so much more sharp. You know,
Yeah.
like there's only I can name a couple, but MMA there's a huge pool.
Well, the focus doesn't lie just on one fight on a
Yeah.
card. It
Yeah.
lies, there's significance to some of the cards.
The way
and
the
under
events are
fights.
run differently. Yeah.
Every main card fight has some sort of significance to it, you know? And then like it culminates to this main event at the end that's for a title. But that main event, just a portion of this whole entertainment offering that they have. Whereas box, I can bet you that none of the other guys had anything close to this leading up to this fight. They've been allocated the entire pay-per-view section just for this, you know? Like boxing's a different model.
Beast altogether,
Plus,
bro.
boxing, a lot of the promoters in boxing are doing 30-70 splits on the revenue to
Yeah.
pay scale. So 30% goes to the promoter, 70% goes to the fighters. That's why, like, you know, these are the type of things
How
that
old
happen.
is this guy?
31.
31, dude.
Jeez, he looks old.
It's the Gypsy King, bro.
This is the second fight Percy's completely donated, eh?
Yeah. But I mean, you know what? Like, it's very good. It's very cool that he does it. And I think that's the modern day Tyson Fury that everybody loves. But at the same time, he's probably made another 50 million. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's not hurting him. You know what I'm
The-
saying? But
the-
it's super cool that he
The
does
ancillary
it. bro, I think.
earnings are
Yeah.
higher than the actual
Yeah, he
purse.
donates his fight purse, bro, which is pretty awesome.
Do you know what is insane? Is that people are willing to do fights for no money. Like when I think back to when I didn't do lots of fights, but
Yeah. Dude, these
people
dudes
are
would
so
have started
willing-
fighting for fucking nothing.
I
as well.
know, but like yes, when you get a couple of claps in your head, you start to go fuck.
Yeah.
It's just
definitely
really worth it,
yeah,
you know.
I'm definitely gonna need some money for this.
But you know, that's actually, you just spoke about it now. That's the thing with MMA, right? Is every fight means something because there's only like a couple main promotions. So
Yeah.
if you're following MMA, you know all the top guys in that promotion. So you know how each fight is going to result in terms of them climbing or going down the ladder. Whereas in boxing, there's like a gazillion, and you're not quite sure where everyone falls. You know, you're only really watching that main fight. Because you know those two guys, and you're hoping that it's a cool story, like that
Dude,
matchup.
I
reckon-
bet you no one knew that Ryan Garcia fought the weekend before for like a fucking world title, you know? It's like, you know,
hang on, boy, sorry. This is the biggest difference between boxing and MMA. How much do you reckon boxing had to pay that promotional company to get those first team all-star girls in there to push fucking Tyson Fury out on a magic carpet?
do you see Proper 12, the main sponsor
Yeah, how
on the
crazy is
canvas,
that,
bro?
dude?
The other thing that annoys me about boxing is that there's always a gazillion people in the ring.
Yeah, why is there so
why are
many
you
people in
guys
the
all?
ring?
What are you doing in there? Like in MMA, when the guy wins, you go to his corner, right, and you can like see him. And You
Yeah.
can see him celebrating. I think it was when Klitschko beat, which was, I can't remember who he was, But there was you can barely see Klitschko in the shot.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
there's
yeah.
like a
It's
gazillion
nuts,
people
bro.
around.
It's
When
nuts.
Mayweather wins, bro. Like I remember the Mayweather
Disappears.
Canelo fight, and then like literally you couldn't find the fighters. Like
who's who? Yeah, bro.
yeah,
It's very, very.
The guy's
crazy.
like raising his hand and trying to push people out the way at the same time.
This is quite crazy.
And then a fight breaks out in the ring between everyone.
This gym that his new camp, Kronk. I think it's in Detroit. It's like super famous.
Wilder.
Fury.
Didn't
changed-
Fury do his camp in Vegas?
Possibly, but his team is at Kronk Gym.
Okay.
Bro. Super famous. Bro. Like Rourke, just Google Kronk. Kronk, Kronk. Super cool dude. Like everyone was like, oh, you know, fuck, it's not. You know, bro. Changing camps for a title fight. It's dangerous, bro. Yeah, for sure. Google it though, dude.
It's amazing to me that like kickboxing isn't as big like Glory and
Glory's awesome.
but Glory. I love
Glory's
Glory.
amazing.
It's the
Yeah,
best.
just go to Wikipedia. I just want to see like
But
the kind of dudes.
it
who
never
come out
like
there.
took like boxing or MMA. I suppose it is big, but it's amongst people who are in the know. The martial arts industry in South Africa is tiny. Like everyone knows everyone here,
Yeah.
and everyone's trained with everyone. But I don't find many people who know a lot about kickboxing in South Africa.
Who's like I can see.
But
Judo
it's not really
Chavez,
anything happening in
Lennox
kickboxing
Lewis,
in
yeah.
South Africa.
There's
That's the
nothing.
problem.
That's the big thing. It's
I
like
saw that SFL thing try to get going, and that hasn't really
They
taken
were
on.
they were like sanctioned by, or they were like an affiliate of Glory, SFL.
But I
Not
think
sure.
there's also a divide though in terms of like what people call kickboxing here and then what is actually kickboxing. You know, like there's a lot of gyms that go around that teach more like karate style.
it's hard to evolve, Joe. Yeah, they all were karate guys, and
Yeah.
then
But I mean, in fairness, like Dutch
Until
kickboxing,
the Kickboxer movie came out.
yeah.
Dutch kickboxing originated from Kyokushin karate.
But
mixed
like
with
if you watch
boxing.
if you go to like they used to do those Raymond Phillips used to host those events where it was like jiu-jitsu and
Shout out to my
kickboxing
boy Raymond Phillips.
and you'd watch them all do that karate style. Now if those dudes would jump onto those mats or into those rings with like a Dutch style kickboxer, they'd be in trouble, you know.
They don't have the same rhythms and
Yeah.
algorithms as the Dutch guys, which are really that tap 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 boom tap 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 tap. They like really do a lot of things. Where those kickboxing guys, the problem is they come from like a point scoring style, so they don't combine that much. Muay Thai was on the growth in before 2009. There was a lot going on, like. You know, I don't know whatever happened to Dragon Power, but Quinton used to host these Friday night fight events. That's where we used to go and fight. And I always loved the traditional Muay Thai. And then MMA came in, and that's when everything just kind of became MMA. And I remember when I was at Fight Fit, the EFC didn't exist yet. It was like all being thought up, and Cairo, and then next thing, just boom. You know, they put their first event. But I think MMA just it's more exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I remember those odd events. I mean, I even fought on one or two of them, like where they were a little bit of kickboxing, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of MMA. Like they were like
They would
was
mix
like
it
this
up.
weird
That's-
situation.
But that's what
One does.
RFC is doing here. Like
Yeah.
they just started
Yeah.
this weekend.
We had a fighter from Primal, fights a chick who fought at that. She didn't win
at RFC.
at RFC.
Oh, bro, she didn't win. It means your system doesn't work, dude.
Well, it's
That's what the people on the internet are gonna say.
well, it wasn't me. I'm not a coach. I take 50%. He rents. I need a jiu-jitsu guy in my gym. If anyone can give me somebody, I've got a beautiful mat. I just don't have. The difficulty is finding. It's like to find a good black belt who's gonna want to stay and teach and run a class. I'm not inside the scene, so I don't know who would want a gym like mine to teach at. But if there's somebody, please can someone.
That rental that you have at the zone, that must be brutal, bro. We're trying to find a new facility for our gym, and some of these rentals at the Oaks are tuning out.
It is brutal, and if you want me to be honest, it's such a difficult business to run a gym. That's what I do. I'm trying to run a good martial arts facility that will grow and go anywhere. I'm hoping within the next year and a half to buy a property in the area and make Primal become a Primal Academy. But what I want Primal to be is a school of martial arts that hosts all the top martial arts, from Thai boxing to jiu-jitsu to yoga to have multiple studios. I just started it with the self-defense, and that's why I don't care if people call me Krav Maga. I'm so past arguing on the internet. But it is brutal. And yeah, man, to be honest, I need 200 members to be profitable, to be comfortable. And I'm at about 140 now, which has taken me 10 years to get to. And I'm at that stage where I'm like, what do you want? Cool, we'll bring it in. Like, I'm very fortunate to have Lyle, who took over Muay Thai and has done a fantastic job and started a whole school. And he's an incredible coach. He just seems to get people. But the truth is 90% of the people who are doing Muay Thai are people who want the Muay Thai body. They're not fighters. You know, fighters is 2% of your business. There's no Muay Thai in this country other than the amateur league. So I'm not, but there's so much more space. If I could have another 40 guys who do jiu-jitsu on my mats, I'm going to be so happy. And yeah, how we do it with them is we do a split. They don't have any stress because my wife just sorts it out. I just do the marketing. But it is expensive, and it's the best job in the world that I would wish on no one.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I think what I wanted to ask you, winding down, obviously self-defense is kind of your game, whichever way people want to say Krav Maga or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. It's the most difficult thing because it's not a system or style. It takes from other. It's like Jeet Kune Do. It's like Bruce Lee said. Take from other people.
Let it go.
Use what works.
Powerful knife going on there. What do you think in your mind would be, if you could leave, obviously you can't teach self-defense on a microphone, but if you could leave people with one word of advice in a life or death situation in this crazy time we live in, what would it be?
Difficult thing. I think the most important thing is I get a lot of paranoid people who come to me. Paranoid because they've created all these things in their head about how someone's going to take their life in South Africa because we live in the most dangerous country in the world and all that bullshit. And I think it's important to tackle that paranoia because that's not happening to you. This is the biggest thing I have with people. They come with paranoia, they're not going to continue in their self-defense. It's a difficult question because, yeah, I live on that realm of someone trying to kill you, and though those photos don't say that at all. You got to check your attitude in life. A lot of why I do what I do today is because of some dark experiences that happened when I was in my 20s, which I went on all these ayahuasca journeys and worked with a life coach, Daron Giba. He was working with UFC fighters as well. But I had to check my attitude. And it was like, I would come home, Mom, Dad, I was nearly stabbed tonight. My friend's in hospital. Shit, and my dad would say to me, well, what were you doing? Oh, no, I was at Carfax. And it was 3 a.m. and we were on the streets. And, well, what the fuck did you expect was going to happen? And, I had to learn, okay, well, maybe if I don't go to these clubs and hang out on the streets in South Africa at 3 a.m, I wouldn't experience something like that.
Look, something like the reality.
This is the point. I have to take responsibility for the fact that I willingly went out at an odd hour of night when I know hyenas are going to be out on the streets. And people don't want to accept responsibility. They want this they want this magic wand, like, tell me how to defend myself. And I'm terrified that this is going to happen to me. But it's so much simpler than that. If you are have a good attitude in life and pay close attention to your habits, because I get a lot of women coming to me and they're terrified of, obviously, currently the context of what I do is gender-based violence. Those are who are coming to me. So I'm going down that context strong. But often it's quite a prep talk to girls. Like, okay, I get it. You're terrified and the streets are dangerous and stuff. But I have to like kind of always put this perspective. If I dropped you in the Kruger Park at 2 a.m. naked, like, what you're going to worry about? I'm going to worry about the wild animals are coming to eat me. So if I gave you a knife, would you take it? Yes. Okay. So that's where we start, because you're worrying about a similar thing. Someone is going to come and chop you up. That's what you're telling me, and going to do all these horrible things against you because of what reason. But how the fuck did you get into that situation?
Yeah.
Because it's not that common. It's really not that common. We hear horrific things, but they're like one event and stuff. And normal people aren't just being chopped up. So behavioral habits are important. And not to go home with that guy who drives an Aston Martin who you think is cool and all of that, to find out that he's an absolute creep, you know. All I'm basically saying is it's all on you. You're the only person who's going to have your back at the end of the day. But if you're going to come train, it's what I was saying. It's generally, I find, and I'm sure you find this in jiu-jitsu, it's self-respecting people who train and continue to train and come every week because they have a purpose in it and stuff. And it's very difficult in martial arts that don't have a competitive platform to have fun on, like jiu-jitsu, where you get to, integrate, for people to do it. Like, because what's the point? Why am I going to spend 10 years studying Krav Maga or ACT? I want it in 1 week, and then I know it and I can leave. And that's the difficulty. I always get this thing, like, can you come teach my company of women in 1 hour self-defense course?
Because that's going to help.
I know, and I say no, but why not? Because I can come and I can talk to them and tell them how not to get into these situations. But once I start showing them what the situation is, I'm going to terrify your whole client base, because there's penny drops. Oh fuck, I'm fucked if this actually happens to me. And I hate doing that to people.
I think that's a similar scenario with like guys who buy firearms. Like, actually, like, oh, I live in this place, I got to get a firearm.
Yeah.
Protect myself. You buy a firearm, and for like 6 months, maybe you're carrying it around, maybe you keep it in your house, and then you go and do like a quick training course, and you're like, two things. Firstly, what the fuck was I doing for the last 6 months? And secondly, I need to learn some shit because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, and this is the point. Guys buy the gun and they have it, and then they just leave it in the safe. And there's so much more around it. If you have a gun in a self-defense scenario where other people have guns, you've got to consider that you're the first target to be shot. There's a lot to it. So I'm not comfortable with guns. I'm comfortable with carrying a knife, and it's based on the situations that I've had to survive. But it's that game changer thing. If I have a big knife in your face, if you have any care for your life, you will stop moving forward. If you run into it, even if you stab me and I stab you, we're both going. But that's the power of a weapon. And this is my point. Real self-defense, to tackle real criminality or terrorist-style criminality, is not complete without a weapon. You cannot expect to fight 4 guys armed with knives empty-hand. It's just not going to happen. We've tested it 1,000 times in the gym. I've tested it in Israel. So my rate on survival against a knife empty-hand and allowing me to punch and kick and do whatever would be like die 80%, possibly survive by locking up, and then someone else is going to, by stopping, possibly 20%. Which is a really shit ratio when you think about it. Okay, and I'm supposed to be skilled. But if a guy really wants to attack you with a knife, like that full prison rush aggression, fucked on drugs, he's going to touch you with that thing, and you have to have good scenarios. So I'll take you through a quick story. One day, when leaving Carfax, which is a club in town I used to go to years ago.
I spent many nights there.
Many
Didn't
nights.
we all?
Yeah. And arriving at
a little bit off the
I did
arriving
everything
at-
from punk concerts to deep house events to trance
Yeah.
events.
just mix it all up, see what happens, bro.
arrive at that total where the stairs was, or I don't know if it's a total there, but it's kind of just below the Mandela Bridge. To my one mate who had left before me in a car, he had been thrown through that Starship window by like these 3 guys. So I arrive with my 2 Asian mates, and Asian people always give you huge credits,
I thought you were going to say they always carry knives.
No, so we get out and like, fuck, what happened? And next thing, these guys just start unloading bottles on us that they had in the car, just like chucking. And then, one breaks the bottle and descends on me. And this is before I did Krav Maga as well, but I was well into my Muay Thai and mixed martial arts training. And my natural reaction was, fuck, run backwards and put the car, like this table, like a car between me and him. And for literally, I think 2 minutes, it was like cat and mouse running around the car. Fuck you, put that thing down. What the fuck you doing? I don't know you. Why are you trying to stab me, buddy? Like, and it was the security that would arrive that would break that up. Now, that's what I teach to people who are dealing with knives, is you got to put something between you and this person, like, so that they can't actually stab you. That's the quickest skill I can give people to make them survive 3 minutes maybe, and we test it like with cars. Like, okay, he's coming full attack, try catch the person with a knife and run around the car, run around the car, run around the car. That's self-defense. It's not always fighting. And people have to be trained those habits, actually, if they don't do them naturally. And most thing that, like, especially with people, I'm teaching people how to move backwards without falling. People don't know how to walk backwards. Now you got to teach them backwards footwork because this guy's slashing at you. And this is the bullshit. You're not going forward against a knife. You're going to go backwards if best and put something between you and him. But you can imagine someone's holding a big blade. Just think about jiu-jitsu, like going in. You're going to automatically feel that you can't, because it's like a spear there. If I go forward, I'm just going to impale myself on it. There are tools like double wrist locks and locks that can be worked against a knife.
Yes, wrist locks.
But you
Quickest way to lose a friend.
I got wrist locked tonight.
yeah, depends
So,
on
did
how
you-
big your hands are. I know some guys I can't even put my arm around them. So you have to take smart algorithms.
There is a cool wrist lock though when you can fold on somebody there.
I literally did that tonight.
This is the biggest thing about self-defense. What I couldn't do with sports martial arts, the fucking weight category thing just didn't cut it for me, because it was not what I was experiencing in real fights. I've been dropped on my fucking head by a very strong man, 120 kg. In fact, was a champion in our mixed martial arts organizations.
That narrows it down.
Yeah.
I think I could potentially give out a few names.
Yeah, anyway, the point is that experience of that power and that strength, and not, I'm talking about trained strength and power, like a jiu-jitsu black belt who's a fucking monster, is fucking scary. Like, there's nothing I can do against it. Nothing I can do. And I've laying on my back in jiu-jitsu under fucking monsters, my arms squashed like this, being like
young Rourke.
what the fuck am I gonna do now? Horrible. There's just some truth to it, and that's why it comes down to a weapon for me. What I mostly teach to people is a tactical pen, which is this pen that you can carry and stuff. And it sounds
What weapon have you got on you right now?
Tactical pen, dude. He's looking
I've
for it.
left it downstairs in my bag, in
Oh,
my
yeah.
green bag. That's what I have. I usually always have.
What is that?
I always have. No, it's what I keep.
Your tactical pen.
The panga.
Yeah.
Panga.
It's a panga cover.
But yeah, I always keep a cold steel folder on my side and a tactical pen. And then if I have a bigger knife inside my
Everywhere.
my moon bag, which comes out usually.
You see, moonbags.
Told you, bro.
Yeah,
Town needs to get over her
Rock,
moonbag issue.
rock that, bro.
but there's so
Rock
much.
that.
Yeah,
Don't be
it's
scared.
yeah. You like, the truth is, if I'm gonna train a woman who's gonna think she has to fucking scratch a guy's eyeball, and that's not easily done, because I understand under huge pressure and stuff. But people go, "Oh, have you ever scratched an eyeball in real life?"
Ooh. it
I will
makes
tell
my
you.
eyeball
I'll tell you a
freak
story
out.
about Brett. Brett
Clark.
took us.
Brett Evans.
Evans took a sword to his eye, cut it open all the way through here, because he came to my gym to spar. You know, like with those wooden Japanese
Hey.
spars. So I had them on the wall, and I have a Dutch guy, Yele, who comes to do kickboxing. And I had left the gym, and Brett said to this guy, "Hey, let's have a spar." And Yele is one of those Dutch guys, like, "Yeah, sure. What these things? Cool. Okay. No mask. Okay, whatever."
Gangsters.
Fucking idiots, dude. Brett did something, I wasn't there, and Yele did like something, and Brett put his eye into the tip of that thing and cut him all the way down here into his eyeball, and it was horrible. I don't. If you see him, ask him the story. I feel terrible about that.
Brett's an
Scar.
enigma. You don't see him anymore. It's
I
like
saw him walking out of Nedbank head offices. I was like, this is so
So
weird.
was he wearing an eye patch?
No, he looked very slick in
So
a
he,
suit.
so
I
he
was
kept his eye.
I think he's like into
It's
forex and stuff, right?
No, he's an banker. He's good. He's big into LARP, live action role play.
Oh
I
yeah.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw that.
That's where the sword
Yep.
fighting actually
Gangster.
enters.
His girlfriend used to have a tie-dye gi, like full tie-dye gi. It was epic, bro.
It wasn't a hippie.
Not at all. Not at all. The tie-dye gi and dreads.
You
like,
know
I
those
mean,
memes that's like, for when the AOJ people, it's like shivering in AOJ.
I'll say this,
I mean,
just to wrap up. If you truly want to be top at self-defense, you should be spending, in my opinion, at least 2 days on the mat doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, maybe a bit of wrestling. You should be practicing boxing. And then you should have a system. Well, then you should come to me maybe 1 day a week to learn about weapons and how they come out on the streets. That's how it's done in Israel. That's a true Krav Maga practitioner because he's doing a mixed martial arts and he's covering all the skills that are vitally needed. How to escape mount, how to escape side control, how to control somebody on the ground, how to not be taken down to the ground. You know, basically 1, 2, and sprawl. If you have that, it's better self-defense. But this bullshit about military and all this crap, I don't know where people come up with that. Why they have this match? Because like a Navy SEAL is not a top martial artist. He's top at what he does with guns, and that is going underwater and breathing, whatever they do, and sneaking up on people and extracting hostages and bringing them back. But put a Navy SEAL against Anderson Silva, Anderson Silva's going to rip his head off, even if he knows how to eye gouge.
Or Tim Kennedy.
unless you Jocko Williams.
Yeah,
Tennessee Jocker.
Tim Kennedy's a good example. He's crosses the line there. But what
All
is
I'm
Tim
saying-
Kennedy? He's a typical example. If he was Israeli, is it the thing? Tim Kennedy is an amazing grappler, ex-UFC fighter, legitimate soldier, and
But he's like a highly skilled.
yeah.
marksman,
If you were to say to me, Ryan,
he's
who
not like
yeah,
he's not a Navy SEAL. He wasn't a SEAL. He was like
he's
They
a
don't-
sniper, isn't he?
Yeah, they don't
Something
send
like
him
that.
in for like hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, my
No,
man.
it,
He's
does,
a make-
it doesn't exist. It
Bro.
doesn't exist. If
He's
you're the
a-
guy on the battlefield who's jumping out with the knife, having run out of bullets in your M16 and your fucking sidearm, you're the dumbest person in there because that
Dude,
does not exist. There's no
there's a-
such thing.
Now
Yeah.
Jocko's cool, but he gave fucking old Hans Pussbag that a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I've heard some serious stories about Hans's ability. If Hans's jiu-jitsu is anything like his striking, then
Well, guess who's not getting sponsored by Monster now? Thanks, Warren.
he's the athlete sponsor. Who cares?
Another guy, like think about Richard Kwan, how much that guy
That looks
does.
fucking scary.
He does jiu-jitsu, he does things, but have you seen him doing his tactical gun training?
Oh my word, that looks like so much fun.
So
Yeah.
hectic. Him and
Yeah.
Chef.
Bro, I was saying this to my wife.
So, do you think Richard doesn't know about self-defense?
Yeah.
Of course he fucking knows.
Dude, listen. Let me put it to you in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If the apocalypse, civil war, whatever breaks
Yeah,
out,
that's who you're gonna call.
That's the first.
I'm not even calling, bro. I'm just arriving. I'm just knocking on his door.
Yeah,
I'm here to stay.
yeah. This is the point. And
Powerful Richard
Yeah.
Kwan. I want to do this so bad.
And he's a bot man.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Though.
yeah,
Let's just do it.
Bro, I was supposed to go this weekend.
doesn't
but
he
I was
also?
gone
He also
seminar.
trains dogs.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this shit, bro. Strobe lights,
Yeah.
bro.
Get us the details. Let's do the first
Yeah,
entry.
this
level
is,
thing, bro.
bro. This is JC Lamprecht, bro.
What
That
is
he's
this?
training
Where
with.
is this?
This is the Bravo Tactical, bro. Shout out to my boy,
Yeah.
Hanky.
But you see, you couldn't see yourself.
Do you guys remember, I was telling you about this, about Hanky, bro. In my first jiu-jitsu competition, he trains out of Ronnie Swanepoel's gym. He almost guillotined my head off my shoulders, bro. This is what him and JC work together. They do. I was supposed to go next weekend. This Saturday, bro, they were doing like an everyday carry course.
Hey, Dave
But I'd already committed to
Do you have to
Don's-
have your own weapon?
Yes, you will do.
Ah,
But you can.
Guns.
But you can.
I want
Spy
to. I
guns.
want to.
But you can also go, which is coming up at Dave Shear with, I'm gonna draw a blank on the guys' names, Urban Patriot, and then if they'll organize your guns from Dave Shear.
My brother's got like heavy into
Bro.
hunting now, so I've got a .2 air rifle.
How the fuck? Because he was an
Watch this.
Olympian.
Watch this.
Who's this?
This is
Zach.
Yeah.
It's his brother, though, isn't it?
China, Zach and Shaq. But
But these are went to the Olympics, weren't they? Weren't they like
I think
shotists?
I think
whatever you
Zach
call it.
or Shaq were at one stage like the number
So how
two.
how can you deal against a guy like that? Shooting like that.
Fucking don't.
You
bro.
don't. That's
And
the
if he
point.
doesn't shoot, he's gonna rip your
And
neck
he's a brown
off,
belt.
bro.
black belt.
He's a black belt now. Yeah.
No,
Shaq.
Shaq.
Yeah.
We're also calling him the
Zach
Indian
or
Hulk.
Shaq were like the number 2
Yeah, it was
ranked
Zach, bro.
marksman
He was telling me about
in
it.
Africa or something
Check it
stupid
out,
like that,
bro.
bro.
Check it out. Diving with a shotgun, my man. This for sure is very important in a street scenario.
To be honest, yeah, if it's taking you offline, it could maybe work.
Um,
No man, these oaks are fooling around. Look at them.
But you see, this is important knowledge. To know about guns is important. Well, that's very.
I don't even know what I was watching there.
That was hula. Yes, man, with an AK.
Okay, that's some bullshit. Like, that-
What is the point of that? To
So you
train
can squat.
for like
It's-
taking cover.
no.
There's other shooting videos. These things are cool.
Dude, this looks a gangster, bro. Slow mo action.
The only other thing I see, like, offloading so many rounds, like, you just like, fuck,
Hang,
10 rand,
Raw,
20 rand,
raw,
30
raw.
rand, 40 rand,
hang on.
50
Just
rand,
go back to
2
the
grand.
video of him on the gym ball. I have a very important question here.
Why did he have an AK in the middle of domination gym?
What the fuck, bro?
Trying to-
See, I got 2 questions. Firstly, does he own the AK? Does it go home with him?
First of all,
Secondly, where
Is
does
this,
he
in the
put it?
is this in the Arab Emirates?
No,
Because
this
if
is
it
in
No, no,
Durban,
no, this is
dude.
Durban, China. So I used to train at Domination, right? The gun culture is so different in Durban, right? So many oaks.
Yes, man.
Oh my god, this is crazy. Yeah, they all carry guns. But
So
you
many
see,
oaks get to training
yeah. No.
behind the counter, in the gun safe,
But you
whatever,
see,
like-
because they're actually, those are the guys who take their self-defense very seriously, because they understand a gun is the highest form
Bro,
of
nobody is taking it as seriously as fucking Zach, but that powerful on the gym ball with an AK-47.
That's
dude.
his brother, Shaq.
that was Shaq.
Was
yeah.
it Shaq? What a gangster.
You will
Anyways,
also fuck your shit up every now and again.
I think in a nutshell, Ryan's biggest piece of advice is buy a panga. For sure, get a hula hoop and an AK-47 and call my boys Zakia Badat and everything's going to be just fine.
just fine.
Thank you, sir, for your time. We really appreciate it. Primal Gym in Rosebank. Guys can check you out all over the place. Facebook, websites up.
Yeah, I'm not on.
Shooting-
I'm not on Facebook, but
Shooting guns while in traction,
You'll
bro.
find the
That's
page.
amazing.
And if you do anything this week, it's for sure going to Badat Brothers Instagram page. It's the most gangster shit I've seen possibly in my life. Is this like doing back exercises now? Straight
No,
in
he's doing traction while fucking.
shooting an AK. Powerful. Zakia Badat, please hit me up on where one can obtain an AK-47. We'll chat to you soon. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're out. Peace.
Cheerio.
Fantastic.